This episode of Not Done Yet, we talk about our co-host Tom. We sit down with our favorite Northeast-based, coast-based cancer slayer, Christina Parrish, and talk cancer cells into suicide. And cue intro music, which we don't have, but anyway. Welcome to Not Done Yet, everyone's favorite podcast, broadcast, and live stream. I am Bob Gibbons, and here with my co-host is Robbie Robinson.
Hi guys, how's everybody doing today? Thanks for being here.
Unfortunately, we're still without Tom Sellers. I did not know we afforded this many sick days to any one person, but I guess he had a pretty good excuse. But we do have Robbie and myself. So how are you doing today, Robbie?
I'm doing fantastic. As usual, I'm fired up and pissed off at cancer.
Oh.
Feeling good about it too.
Mm-hmm. If anyone is feeling good about it, I'd love to hear that. If anyone is interested, we do have some information on Tom Sellers, including a link to a Facebook group called the Tom Sellers Army. Now, Tom, I've included the link on our Facebook page. But Rachel Sellers is going to keep us continuously updated on Tom's condition through that. And she's going to let us know how he's doing and everything like that. I know that he had some issues with his heart. Those seem to be under control right now. And they're going to go ahead and resume some chemotherapy. He's waiting for more information coming along this Friday from doctors. So between now and then, we'll have some updates for you, and then Friday is the big update.
Yeah, and if you want to keep up with them yourself, like Bob said, just go on Facebook and join Tom Sellers Army, and they'll let you in, and you can comment and go right along with Tom with him. He's doing fantastic, and he's just doing what we do. He's out slaying the dragon, man.
Yeah, love to hear it. You know, he's doing fine under the circumstances, and we wish him all the best. And we've included the link, as I said, on our Facebook page. Tammy has already commented, hello, everyone, and all my prayers for Tom and his family. We love to hear that. We love our loyal supporters and listeners. So let's...
Well, I got one other thing.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to my cancer-slaying daughter, Shelly. She's been on several times, 2-time cancer survivor. 40 years. She's 40 years old today.
Nice. Happy birthday.
I remember when my parents' 3 children were grandparents and they were still alive. And I'm like, boy, how must that feel for your own kids to be grandparents? I hope I live that long to find out. So
we also hope that, Robbie. Regardless, we are at Not Done Yet. Just wanted to quickly remind you that you can join our live stream on Facebook, on the 216 The Net's YouTube page.
Yep.
Or you can join us online on our broadcast at 216thenet.com. And if you do drop us a comment, we'll be reading them throughout. Yep. You can also connect with us on Twitter by searching Not Done Yet, and you can let us know what you're thinking and how we're doing, and we'll be sure to read those as well. So let's get into some news. That's the first thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Extra, with everything going on right now, cancer news can get lost in the shuffle. Fortunately, Not Done Yet is here to help out with that, with noteworthy news and notes from around the world. Our first news article comes from Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich, which is, of course, in Germany. I don't know who Ludwig Maximilian is, but apparently researchers from there have been doing some research, and the National Cancer Institute released a press statement on their work, talking about how they are working on coaxing cancer cells to commit suicide. This is very interesting because Robbie keeps talking about how cancer wants to live so bad that oftentimes it kills its
own host want to live so bad,
trying to live. The mechanisms that mediate DNA repair are vital for survival. However, since tumor cells divide faster than many other cells, agents that actively promote DNA damage are often used as therapeutic agents. This approach selectively eliminates cancer cells that have already substantiated a significant degree of DNA damage. In this particular context, functional DNA systems, repair systems are a hindrance rather than help. This explains why researchers have long sought to identify weak points in the network of repair pathways that could serve as drug targets for the treatment of cancer cells, and the search has not been in vain. So what this article is, that is straight from the article itself. That's not me being really smart. I don't want to pretend I'm one of those researchers from Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich. But basically what they're talking about is how the DNA used to reproduce cells, if you can target that properly, then you can get rid of the DNA. Then you can get rid of the cancer cells and kill them, and essentially get them to kill themselves.
That cell, every cell is designed with a program. I look at it like a computer. Every cell is designed like as a program that says it's time for you to die and get out of the way and make room for a new cell. And that's called the apoptosis process. Is that cell dying off like it's supposed to? A cancer cell, in my simple mind, does not get that program. And so it does what it's designed to do originally, keep living. And it'll do everything it possibly can, like I said, as far as killing its own host to stay alive. And when a cancer cell does get damaged, it can repair itself faster than a normal cell, like Bob was saying. And so if we can get in there and stop that point where it's starting to repair itself again, we can get some drugs in there to stop that. It won't reproduce itself. And that's the thing. The cancer cells are very, very strong. Like he said, they grow twice as fast normally as other cells. And so they're producing and eating up and creating veins and arteries and means of sustaining itself. And if we can get in there and stop that process from it doing it, it's kind of like tying in a little bit of what we were talking about with the vaccines last week. Somewhat. That was one of the things that they were talking about doing, targeting those particular points along that pathway of reconstruction that that cancer cell has. We can get there and stop that from doing that. We can stop it from reproducing.
Phil Nocerino, thank you for joining us. He says hello to everyone.
Hi, Phil.
And as always, I'm leaving comments in the comment section of this Facebook live stream, the links to all these articles so you can fact check and do some research for yourself, not just take our words for it, because every once in a while Robbie is wrong. I'm not usually wrong, nor am I usually humble about it. So, but you can always fact check.
Neither one of us are saying that we're looking at this information and trying to keep it as simple so that we can understand it. Hopefully, if we can understand it, you can understand it, of how this all happens. I mean, it's just fascinating how our body works and what it's able to do. And
that's one of the reasons why I love these scientific articles from journals and stuff like that, is they try and dumb it down so that laymen can understand it in like the first paragraph. And then later on they get into a bunch of sciencey stuff.
They give us that abstract.
I don't have that level. Like, I tell everyone that I'm a scientist, but I'm a political scientist. Like, I can understand politics and how certain people vote a certain way, but I can't understand anything medical wise.
Any test, I just look at the part that says abstract. That's all I need to know. They pretty much summarized it for me right there.
Speaking of those articles, we have one more to share with you. This one also comes from the National Cancer Institute, talking about, why can't I find the headline? Talking about leveraging the mechanical force of T cells to fight cancer. Robbie's shaking his head because he's a little bit familiar with this. But the article goes on to explain that T cells are the cells in our immune system that destroy cancer cells. Immunotherapy involves administering drugs to make those cells more powerful. When T cells come into contact with cancer cells, they destroy the cells by releasing chemical compounds as well as applying mechanical force. This comes from one of the researchers. For immunotherapy to work with limited patient toxicity, the drugs have to be delivered precisely during this step. Existing immunotherapy treatments use biochemical signals to control the drug release process. But that's a blunt tool because doctors have no control over how a drug diffuses within the body. To get around this problem, the team has developed a method that uses a biomechanical signal, which means that drugs are released only when T cells come into contact with other cancer cells. The T cell's mechanical force is only triggered when they are touching their target cells.
Yep.
Which, if you're having a little bit of trouble following along, you are not alone, because I don't really understand the paragraph that I just read. Basically, what it's saying is that T cells are what's being used in the immune system to attack cancer cells. So when cancer is in your body and it's attacking and it needs to be kept in check by these T cells, what's happening is T cells attack the cancer cells, but at a precise moment. They're very effective. And so if you can get more T cells and you can upgrade them, think of using a radioactive spider to bite the T cells, except in this case, you don't turn into a superhero.
Yeah.
Instead, it turns your T cells into superheroes.
Yeah.
And they go and they fight the cancer. You're leveraging their mechanical force and making them stronger and making them better. And you're essentially
That's
improving the T cell.
yeah. That's very important to people with blood cancer. Like I had lymphoma, and the B cells and the T cells are the things I have to fight these cancer cells. So that's a big thing. That ties into when we were talking about last week about the nanoparticle thing, where they're putting the medicine in a smaller thing to try to control that. Like Bob was saying, if you let too much medicine in there, you're going to hurt healthy cells as well as bad cells. So,
Well, if you don't, can I chime in on
oh,
that?
yeah,
Yeah, of course.
So I was very fortunate when I went to CTCA that for my pancreatic cancer, I had a very, very, very targeted treatment, which knocked down my tumor markers by 80%, which is unheard of in the pancreatic cancer world. So an intraarterial. So it had a very, very targeted, precise place, and it was all, my organs took a beating, but my body only had the normal chemo. So the rest of my body didn't take the beating that the organs did. So that's pretty spectacular when you can and really target it and take it out right where it starts. So that's pretty phenomenal.
yeah, that's been the worst thing about taking chemo is it kills every cell, healthy and sick.
It does.
And the more they can just target to these specific cancer cells, the healthier the rest of the body stays, and the better it fights it. So
Gives you a fighting chance.
Absolutely. And that's a great introduction to today's guest, who is Christina Parrish. As I mentioned at the top of the program, she is our favorite Northeast-based, coast-based cancer slayer. We absolutely love having her on the program. She was here once before. We've tried a few other times to get her in, but
she's a
unfortunately
busy
it
lady.
didn't work. We love having her, and we want to talk about a few of these things right after this read. There are no wrong ways to slay cancer, but we want to highlight somebody who is definitely doing it right. Not Done Yet is proud to share our platform with this next guest, and our next guest is Christina Parrish. How are you doing, Christina?
Doing well. How you fellas doing?
Hi, Christina.
Good. Do you mind if I call you Christina, or do you prefer Chris?
You can call me Chris, Christina, whichever you're more comfortable with. I'm good either way.
Perfect. I've heard Robbie referred to you by a myriad of names, so I want to make sure that I get it right.
I really answer to anything as long as, pretty much. So
Tell Mom I said hi.
I definitely will. She'd love to.
Her mom's a cancer survivor too.
Really?
Yes.
She is.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Quite the
good.
cancer slaying family.
Yeah, not necessarily the best form of family ties, but it could be a lot worse.
We'll take it right now. We'll take it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to the show. You as I was saying, you're a pretty busy lady.
Just when there's things to do and needs to be met by other people, you always got to answer the calling.
Yeah, it's because we've been given time when others weren't, correct?
Exactly. You know, I had so many people. I've been so very fortunate to have so many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that have impacted me throughout my journey and still do. That you can only pay it forward. So that's what I try to do whenever I have the opportunity, and those opportunities actually find me. So
Yeah.
that's the pretty cool thing about it.
Well, before we get started into some of that, a lot of times people want to know, how did we all get dragged into this cancer fighting realm? How'd you find out? Was it by just doing checkups, and especially with it being pancreatic cancer, which is a very difficult cancer to diagnose at first and then to overcome. So how did your journey start in this?
Well, it started out really basically never thinking I would have cancer. And then,
Welcome to the team.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's not something that you ease into either. It's just a real, like freight train stopping 2 inches from your nose.
Yeah.
So in 2008, well, actually, if you back up before that, probably around 2003, I had extreme weight loss, and I go probably 160, 165. I probably was down to maybe a little over 100 pounds, which
Wow.
I'd never been in my life. And I ran around at a daycare with kids thinking, oh, that's why I lost weight. But I had constant digestive issues. Fast forward 5 years, nothing really resonated. Nothing happened except for more and more progressive digestive issues. Belching, I mean, if you think of the digestive tract, it started from when you chewed the food and it went down until the absolute end of it. And everything was just not working in my digestive tract. And it
That went on for how long?
About 5 years. And I stopped going to the doctor because all they did was throw me on like Nexium and Prilosec, and nothing worked. So I started popping Tums again. And, I was really frustrated with the fact that I kept having problems, but they no testing. I mean, just nothing. It was just like, hey, take this miracle cure and everything will be okay. And it just progressively got worse. It got down to where I couldn't eat anything. I was sitting at work one night and I felt like I was dying, literally. And I called my doc and she got me in the next day. And she's like, Chris, you're never sick and you look awful. And, I told her where my pain was. So she was feeling around, and I was so skinny, you could almost see this bump underneath my left rib cage. And, I had a 5.5 centimeter mass once they diagnosed and got a CT scan. But it was about a week after I saw her that I got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And no clue even what a pancreas did. Just knowing if when you Google it, it says pretty much you're going to die. In 2008, I should say that this is in 2008. It wasn't a good prognosis. And at the time I was 40 years old and literally too young to have this get in my way. And but it was something that I had to reckon with. And I found out real fast that I had to leave the state where I live to get the kind of care I needed to live. I didn't have a good track record anywhere, and you hit the rural states like Maine, and the track record goes down exponentially.
Right.
So for me, I looked for some place that had a good track record with pancreatic cancer, and that's what led me to CTCA. And it was Peggy Kessler and her commercial that ignited a fire in me like I couldn't believe. And I was like, oh my goodness, somebody that looks like around my age is surviving this. I can do it. So
Yeah, she was about a 10-year survivor at that point, wasn't she?
She was. And that was, to me, that was like music to my ears. And she's the reason why I made the call. And the rest is pretty much history. I got in there and, they flew Mom in from Kentucky and me from Maine, and we met, and they gave me an aggressive interarterial, which was therapy, which was a clinical trial. Now that I look back on it, where it's like a heart catheter that goes in, only instead of going to your heart, there's a wire that goes to your pancreas and a wire that goes to your liver, or to my liver. And then it was a 15-hour treatment where 40 times the amount of chemo just kept circling in to those organs. And so I was strapped down, because you had to be strapped down at your ankles, at your wrist, and you were weighted with sandbags, because if you moved, you could die. So with that being said, I did not move, but I have to say, thankfully, Ativan and morphine were my friends because it caused you not to move. But that's something I don't think I've shared in that much detail, that whole process before. I've gotten used to just sugarcoating it for people. So,
well, I really appreciate you doing that, because it is hard to, our souls get bared.
Well, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But I mean, there was no choice in the matter. I didn't want to die. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Even though I was scared to death. I mean, so, yeah, that was probably the most. Normal chemo was like a cakewalk after that. I was like, oh, you're just hooking up an IV? Okay. It wasn't a 15-hour treatment that I could barely walk out of the hospital on. I actually walked out just because I had to. It was my control. They're like, well, you have to use a wheelchair. And I'm like, I am not. So my poor mom is sitting there trying to make sure I'm not falling. And I was like, I'm okay, Mom. I'm okay. So God love her. She let me, they let me walk out, and that made me feel good that I could walk out after a treatment like that.
Yeah, I remember after each brain surgery, they, the hospital's like, all right, well, let's get you in a wheelchair. Let's get you out of here. I'm like, no, I am walking out of here.
Yeah. Yes. You have to have some semblance of control, because this is not a disease where you have any control. So when you can take those little glimpses and your people realize, hey, okay, yeah, okay, you deserve this. It's priceless, because that way it's just that, like, it's a pride thing for me. I was very proud that I could walk out after something like that.
Oh yeah, it's a great motivational tool. It's kind of like, I can either get pushed out of here by a nurse or my parents, or I'm gonna make them suffer, make them walk with me. My parents are both on either side of me, very cautious that I didn't go.
Right.
My dad, when he ended up driving home from the hospital, he was going 20 miles an hour on the interstate, and it was like,
you didn't want to shake it.
yeah, it's like, all right, well, don't give him a concussion because you're driving too hard or anything like that. So he's like, so he's going in the slow lane, and he's just taking his time. It's like, all right, yeah, people can honk at me all they want, I'm gonna make sure this kid gets home alive.
Well, yeah, I understand that. It's like probably having a newborn. You drive really slow to make sure nobody. I mean, I get that. They become very protective, your family and your friends.
Well, you feel like a newborn.
You do.
You can't walk really well. You have trouble
talking, walking, eating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everything. Bathing. I couldn't even bathe myself for a while. So, I mean, Mom was helping me in and out of bathtubs. And I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of things that you really go to. I think I actually told people that at one point, that you feel like for me, I couldn't even cut up my food because my platelets were so low from these interarterial treatments. So I couldn't cook. I couldn't cut my food. They wouldn't let me juice either. So when they all went to work, I would actually go out and shovel snow. But then I would get a nosebleed, and then it didn't like to stop. So I could only do that little bits at a time. So I think you just find your normality, but it's just funny how you just find your normal, and you find your little wins and sneak them in and stuff. So
how long did your treatments go on, and then finally hit a point where, okay, I'm done with treatments, now I got to start rebuilding my life?
Oh, geez. Well, they went on forever, it seems. So I was in active treatment for, 3.5 years, every 3 to 4 weeks, I was back to CTCA and doing chemo. My inner arterials only lasted 4 months. My blood, all of my blood, my white blood cells, red blood cells, every part that could possibly be a part just plummeted. So we had to discontinue that treatment after 4. So from, let's see, August, September, October, November of '08 was my last inner arterial. And from that point on, it was just FUDR and leucovorin. And then I would say, I think probably about two years in, I was like, wow, this has been a long time. And I guess I need to learn to start living. Like, what is this life now? If this is going to be my life, I can't just. So I think I tried to go back to work, which that did not work. But it was a good college try. I needed, I guess, to find out if I was ready to do it. And I couldn't go back. I was a credit card collections person. And I just didn't even have the heart for it anymore.
That was kind of like that way for me when I got, back to where I could do something. Couldn't do it full time, but in sales, I just didn't have the heart anymore. It was like it was because I was just like you. We were all being called to some other direction. We just didn't recognize it at that time.
Right. Exactly.
Why don't you tell us about that direction you got called into?
Well, isn't that funny? Well, it's funny. I got called in a direction when I was actually doing chemo all the time, and I was very chatty, which was totally unlike me. I would go visit people because the chemo made me really antsy. After about day 3, it zonked me out. But for the 2 days, I was just like Speedy Gonzalez. I just needed to go, 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 go. And so it led me to having conversations around the infusion area, and then which led into me talking to more people into cancer, the Cancer Fighter Network, where you talk to patients and things of that nature, which led to me doing more advocating and stuff for pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
So what I found is in the state of Maine, there was really no presence for pancreatic cancer. And so Purple Iris Foundation was started, which was only supposed to be planting irises in honor and memory of people. And it is now we're heading into year 9, and Purple Iris Foundation is now open to all cancers. And it's developed into a lot of patient aid and food insecurity. We face a lot of food insecurities up here, so we do a food and holiday basket program as well.
You talked a little bit about that, and I know that's what you were doing. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Right, have you on? You were driving between Portland and where else? Was that part of the program?
Bangor, Portland, yeah, it's about 2 hours and everywhere in between. So we have some grassroots volunteers down in the southern part of the state that takes care of our southern people. And then we take care of basically eastern Maine. So anywhere from Bangor west, east, and north. So we cover a wide range of people. And this month we're already up to 50 food baskets and holiday baskets. So they get a Christmas meal, and then we give them it's usually between 20 and 30 pounds of groceries in a separate bag, just to keep them fed during the cold months.
On that note, I
That's
want to remind everybody, don't be ashamed or feel bad if you need help at this time with food. That's a big problem right now in this country. All you got to do is turn on TV and see the lines of cars that are waiting to get pick up food. My son at his high school with a couple of food drives, and then just look on Facebook, look on anywhere, just go on Google, local food banks. There's plenty of them out there, and the food is there. And so just,
there's a lot of resources out there. A lot of churches offer soup, meals, and there's a lot of people looking to help. We've been very fortunate up here that, for people battling cancer. I mean, some people don't even go to treatment in the wintertime, because but I gotta heat my house. So, well, it'll be okay if I take a few months off because, so you don't want to have people face the choice of, do I take treatment or do I just make sure that I have all these things? So it's important in all realms. I mean, there's so much. We all know that cancer takes a lot out of you financially, but
Yeah.
I really don't think that a lot of people like to talk about that.
No, you can't let your pride get in your way of what you need to do to keep you and your family fed and taken care of.
Yes,
What we're all for.
agreed. And I have to say that when I first got diagnosed, I was very proud and didn't want help. But what I realized is I have no idea how I'm going to pay for half the stuff I need to do, and
Yeah.
what. So but it's a tough road. Most people like, I don't need help, and then 6 months in, they're just lost, and it's just a hard road of self-discovery sometimes.
So Purple Iris Foundation isn't about just raising awareness about pancreatic cancer. You guys have your hand in a lot of
Yeah.
services.
Well, pancreatic cancer will always be my thing because I get reached out to numerous times a week from all over the world. So, but what I've realized here in the state of Maine, cancer is an issue. It's not just pancreatic. So we've really opened up our resources to all cancers because, truthfully, why discriminate? Patient aid is at an all-time high. I think we're funding at least 3 to 5 people a month just to help out with their bills.
Your organization is?
Yes, we do through the Eastern Maine Cancer Relief Fund program. That's where our patient aid fund for Mainers. Anybody battling cancer can apply. We take care of household expenses because we can't take care of medical stuff, but we can take care of, I think from property taxes to mortgages to electric bills, cell phone bills, car repairs. So there's really a gamut, heating oil, pellets. So it's really, there's a need there. And we've been fortunate to be in the local Lafayette Cancer Center where their patient advocates know what we offer, and they're able to get their patients to us. And it's less than probably a 5-day turnaround where we can meet and review and approve. So it's actually what I've always wanted to do. So I'm thankful in such a hard time for people that we can provide the things that we've always wanted to do. So we've
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
That's awesome. I know last week we covered a little bit of the Purple Iris Foundation. That was one of the organizations we spotlighted. But this week as well, I've included a link to their page on beneath the Facebook live stream video. It really is a quality organization, and I see something new here. The GuideStar Bronze Seal of Transparency.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we've been under the GuideStar thing, but we really work hard to update our information, and we have the bronze seal right now. And the only reason we don't have a silver is because we don't bring in enough money. So we're very fortunate to still be an all volunteer based organization, and the money that we raise for Maine stays in Maine. It doesn't leave. So we're very fortunate to have a lot of great community support in everything we do, and a lot of our sponsors for our events, since we weren't able to have them, have pitched in and are helping keep our Eastern Maine Cancer Relief Program going. So that's the only way we'd be able to do this. Instead of sponsoring events, they're literally sponsoring this program and helping individuals directly in the community. So it's really turned into a beautiful thing, and it's just Mainers helping Mainers, and that's what we do best up here.
Are you a registered 501c3 charity?
We are. We're a registered 501c3 since we started fundraising in 2000. I always get this wrong. So we're on year 8, 9. So in 2012, that's when we started. And I think 2013 in March, we got our official letter saying we were a 501c3.
So if somebody who does want to donate money to your organization, they can write that off as a tax deduction?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Good
It
enough.
definitely tax write-off. And it's very worthwhile. I have to say that the impact we're making is finally something where we found our niche, and this is where we're going to stay. And this is a beautiful thing that we're doing. And if people do want to support, we'd love to have you. If they need to learn more, we'd love for people to learn more and just join the bandwagon of spreading hope.
Absolutely. I don't know if we have a lot of listeners out in the Northeast, but it sounds like it's a quality organization to get involved with. From the research that I've done and from hearing Christina talk about it, I mean, it sounds like something that really, it sounds like a really quality organization.
And we're also very fortunate to be a part of the World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition, which is a coalition of pancreatic cancer organizations that are worldwide. So we all belong to one big conglomerate, and it's really changed the face of pancreatic cancer as far as the awareness piece goes. We really haven't moved in the survival rate, which I'm hopeful for soon. But we're really proud of being a part of that and being included in such a wonderful organization.
Yeah, I personally appreciate what you're doing. I had a very, very good friend of mine who was, at 50 years old, gets diagnosed with pancreatic, and within a year he was gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Robbie.
It's just, it's just part of what keeps us all motivated to keep doing what we do. I always think if I hadn't made it, or you hadn't made it, or Bob hadn't made it, or those of us that do, that's kind of what drives me. Is I think of all the things that wouldn't have happened, or people's lives wouldn't have been touched if none of us made it.
Well, that's
so to take this time,
I think that's a great point. I mean, we made it for a reason, and there's a lot of people that don't kind of ride with what they're supposed to be doing. They just kind of buck the system. And when you talk about survivorship for yourself long term, and when I talk about it, people stand up and listen. And I've heard people, when I talk on the phone, of a newly diagnosed stage 4 pancreatic cancer individual. I mean, they go from really sad to laughing with me on the phone. And when you can hear somebody go from 1 to up here, it's a pretty amazing thing to know that you have the power of hope right in your hands. And it's a pretty amazing thing.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Every day. I'm humbled every single day.
Yeah. To me, all hope means is I believe that tomorrow is going to be better than today. So I'm going to do everything I can today to be here tomorrow.
Exactly.
Just do that for one more day.
Well, one more day. But I mean, if you break it down into, the next hour is going to be better than this past hour. Sometimes people need a little more than the day thing. But I think
minute to minute.
Yeah. I think people need to adjust their expectations and realize that, hey, just because you're breathing now this minute, that's a huge blessing. And finding the blessings in our hard times are hard, but they're definitely there.
Yeah,
for sure.
I knew that I was not going to be able to go back to work full time as bad as I wanted to, and I just, you get to the point where you got to say, okay, this is what it is. This is how much time I have each day. What am I going to do with it?
Right.
And it's up to us from that point on. We can sit there and self-pity all we want because I'm not doing what I used to do. But look at all I've got to do since then because I didn't take that attitude. I took the attitude, okay, I have this amount of time today. Just because I can't do this doesn't mean I can't do something over there.
Right. I think it's adjusting our sails.
Yeah.
We can't just go and say, well, we have this destination. Sometimes the wind blows us way off course. And, if I looked back, what am I, 12? So 15 years ago, if I was saying, oh, I'd be a stage 4 pancreatic cancer survivor, I'd be like, what? What are you talking about? Like I was just so far from who I am now that it's I think if you let cancer, it can change you in such beautiful ways, and make you into the person that you should be, if that makes sense.
Were you a public speaker before, or did this come about after cancer?
Way after cancer. I hated public speaking, but now you can put me anywhere and I can talk a blue streak, and I don't even care who it is.
Yeah, I always
That's awesome.
joke.
It really helps when you're doing a radio show.
I was joking, say I was the
Podcast.
biggest wallflower you ever saw in high school. You can't find one picture of me in 4 years of high school yearbooks because I tried to hide myself as best I could. And oh God, now look what happened.
Well, you just found your niche, Robbie. You found your niche, and
Yep.
you made something. You made lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, we love having you around. So, I mean, I would never have met Robbie otherwise. So,
Yeah,
That's what I mean. There's so much opportunity. Just like you said, Christina, opportunity is laid before us every day, and it's up to us whether we trip over it, step over it, or actually bend down and pick up that opportunity and see what we can do with it. And I
Right.
think a lot of, we get to that point where we either say we're just going to give up and okay, this is the best it's going to be, and all I got to do is just exist, or we can get up and start fighting and do something different, something that feels awkward, that feels different. Don't be afraid of that. I've learned to love change.
Yes. Different
Come either
can-
way, so why not
very
create it?
right. Christina, to get us back towards the Purple Iris Foundation a little bit, is there one specific story you can think of that really made an impact on you and really changed what you thought about it, or how you address pancreatic cancer?
I think I'm impacted almost every day by pancreatic cancer and by cancer in general. It's so prevalent in the state of Maine. And when I say prevalent, it's an epidemic. So I think I've actually been running from my cancer responsibilities for several years, and thinking that I didn't have it in me to do what I needed to do. And so I'm trying to find my way back to being that person I need to be a beacon of hope. And I think every day when people message me, it changes me a little bit, because it takes me back to when I was that scared person that might need a little help, or I'm just that person looking for a little hope. And so when you can actually make that impact, and that doesn't even cost money to do. So you're not only giving them hope while you're talking to them on the phone about a bad situation, or by text or by messenger, however they're comfortable. It brings you really back to the root of where your roots are and what you've been through, and whether it's financial or personal, I mean, whatever issues it is, it brings you back, and it humbles you every day. So I guess that's what makes me it even though I don't work, I don't get paid, and I volunteer, most of my contact comes from people. The first contact with the Purple Iris comes from people struggling, whether it's cancer or whatever. So that's life changing every day, and I wouldn't change that for the world. Is it hard? Yeah, but when you can impact somebody and give that hope, that first line of defense with the Purple Iris, not defense, but that first line of that hug, that big hug that you want to give somebody. That's what I volunteer and do, and then everybody else comes in and swoops them up for a big old hug, and then and those things impact me every day. So every single day we're impacting somebody, and that's a beautiful thing.
Well, I tell you, I really miss those hugs up at the hospital, being able to go up there and volunteer, and we can't right now because of COVID.
That's been
boy.
hard. That's been hard.
Very hard, because you just people still need it. Just because we can't be there doesn't mean those hugs aren't still needed.
Oh yes, most definitely. We've done a lot of. I do a lot of virtual, like our drop-offs and stuff for the food baskets. We do very little contact, as much as we can, and then there's some people that just want to chat. So you got that fine line, but you really have to social distance. And we've had an uptake in COVID cases up here, so December is going to be really, imperative that we take that into consideration. But this has been a crazy year with just crazy year. And I can't even imagine, are people even traveling for cancer treatments right now?
Yeah, they're still traveling. It's just very limited. You can't have anybody in the hospital. Nobody's staying at the hospital other than people in room, inpatient. The 2 floors that were room for, like hotel room floors, are not for that anymore. So yeah, very limited.
Interesting.
People still are. Yeah. We still have, cancer doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer still can go.
It doesn't. Well, it's been like I have a checkup coming up in March, and I don't even know. I have no idea how that works. So
a lot of people are trying to drive if they can, because it's the safest way right now.
yeah,
The less people you're coming in contact with.
time to drive out there.
Right for you.
That's
Well,
a,
we'll see what happens. I know
Yeah.
today they're starting.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
giving out the first doses of the Pfizer vaccine in the United Kingdom. So
Yeah.
We
talked about vaccines last week, and there's cancer vaccines. It's not necessarily to kill the cancer cell. It attacks the virus that causes cancer, and they are working on ones that actually go, just like Bob was talking about. It's kind of like a vaccine. What they're talking about, targeting those particular proteins and things on these cells that pathways. So there's a lot coming out right now, and it really helped me make a decision, my own personal decision, on whether to get this vaccine or not. After doing the research and seeing, exactly how is a vaccine made and all that, and what does it do and what's in it. And then, we talked about last week to try to give people a little bit of information, spur them to maybe get out there and look themselves and find out exactly what it is, so I can make an educated decision on whether I want to do it or not just because of what I'm thinking, but because of what I know. You know what I mean?
right.
And, cancer is the same. Like I said, if somebody is, I don't want to take the COVID vaccine, but if I've got cancer and here's a vaccine for cancer, give it to me. I'm not going to question if it's something that'll take this out of me. I'm
Interesting.
willing to do it.
That's, I'd have to think about that one for a minute.
It's all perspective.
I would have to do some research. I'm not a big proponent on like the flu shots, and because
you're not
like,
alone.
Mom's had some bad reactions, and I think I had a flu shot during treatment once, and I think that's why I was like, yeah, no, I'm all set. But I really haven't given much thought to the whole COVID vaccine. I know I should.
Watch our show from last week. We had some information about vaccines, and specifically the cancer vaccines, because it got me to thinking, well, if they had one for cancer, what would I do?
There you go. Some word of mouth advertising from Robbie.
Exactly.
Getting more viewers for previous shows. One guest at a time. Really, that's the entire trap there, Christina. Now that we've got you hooked.
So what's in the works? What's in the future plans? What's going on for you and for your foundation?
Well, I think for us, we're just gearing up for December, and we have a Purple Elf project, and this year we have 1, 2, 3, 4 families that we've adopted, which we help them with their Christmas needs, which means presents, and then they get the food, the Christmas basket. So we're finishing that up. And then January, it's about gearing up for how we're going to look at fundraising for the next year. And if we are going to fundraise, and grant writing. So after December, we'll continue the food program, but it's about gearing up and seeing how we're going to have to change wheels again for fundraising, because we literally did no fundraising this year. And I'm thankful for all the support of our community and our sponsors, and they've really bucked up and helped. We do blood drives. We sponsor blood drives. So it's really made us go into community service, and I have to say I'm thankful that we didn't have as much as I miss the people in our big fundraisers and the excitement and remembering and honoring people. It really, when your attention is taken off of fundraising to what your purpose and your goal is, it was amazing to just see all the impact you could have when your focus wasn't putting on 2 huge fundraisers, but actually, hey, this is what we're doing, and all you had to do is submit grants online. So it really kind of streamlined our process. It's been painful because you get told no a lot, but just keep trying, and we keep puttering along. So
make sure we get any links to that if people want to donate, because we've done a couple of shows about that, how hard it's been for nonprofits this year. It dropped by 50% pretty much overall on average.
Yeah, well, so we there's a breast cancer coalition of Maine that's been around here helping people impacted by breast cancer, and it's been around for 20 years, and it shut its doors. And it was the only, so it was the only patient aid fund, but it was specific to breast cancer, and that's one of the reasons why we opened up ours to all cancers, because there's nothing that in Maine that actually addresses, struggles financially that you go through with cancer. And so,
cool.
But yeah, I will most definitely forward those to you. I think patient aid, food insecurity are things. If you look at all the GoFundMe accounts and stuff, most of them are because of medical / cancer or something.
Yep.
People are struggling, but nobody's addressing that need. So we have we've been blessed because pancreatic cancer has one of the highest patient aid funds for all cancers. So with that being said, I thought we'd spread the wealth to all cancers and help out everybody.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see during this time how different organizations are amending their goals and making it more inclusive, and because priorities have definitely shifted. So to see all these organizations come together for the betterment of the community, even though it might not necessarily be what they were chartered for, but instead you got to address this problem in order to address any other problems that might come along in the future.
Well, I think for a long time we saw a lot, and we did what we could. The Purple Elf started addressing that. We knew that people needed to have a good Christmas. If they had one Christmas left, they needed a good Christmas. And so we were slowly getting there. And, our mission is we raise awareness, provide hope, and give support. So that's a broad, that broad thing allows a lot of things to happen, whether it's, pastoral care for people that are struggling and want to talk to a chaplain, to patient aid, to, hey Chris, or can I chat with you tonight in one of our groups, or just one-on-one. I think support comes in many ways, and I think for us being such a small volunteer-based organization, and our patient aid has a max of $500, and for us that's actually pretty significant for as small as we are to give out such a nice amount of financial awards. So we take it seriously, and because there's a huge need, and we had to, at first we were just opening it up, and the need was so overwhelming we couldn't take care of everybody.
For sure.
And it's a frustrating feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It was, because you just want to win the lottery and just help everybody, but you just keep writing grants and call in favors from friends who are sponsors, and you just get it done.
Right. Yeah. And then one of our avid listeners, Phil Nocerino, said he wants to donate some Never Give Up wristbands to your organization.
Fabulous.
So if you could go ahead and send us an address, we'll facilitate the shipping and make sure those get to you.
That would be great. Thank you, Phil. That's amazing. We would love that. That would be something great to include in our little food program baskets. We try to put something positive and uplifting in those, so that would be great. Thank you.
Great. They say never give up, and they're grounded so that it helps with balance and just helps with overall health. So it's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Phil's a great guy. Phil lost his wife to pancreatic cancer.
Oh.
Yep.
My condolences. I'm sorry, Phil.
Yeah, so he's been with us through the whole thing, and just a great guy. trying to do what he can to make life better for those that have got to go through this.
And that's all we can do. That I'm sure his wife is loving that he's doing stuff like that, because that's just a beautiful tribute to her.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're very pleased with the listeners. We do have, we're very privileged to have people that support us and support organizations like yours, and that's what we're here for, to facilitate that support.
Humbles me every week
Mhm.
that people care as much as they do. I just love seeing that and sharing your story and other people's story. Get the fear out of it. That's our goal. Get the fear out of it so people will go and get those tests done, those screenings done on time instead of waiting till something's wrong. And that's the one thing we have control over is when we do those.
Yeah, exactly. But what I find is I always get excuses from people, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but
I know it.
they're always like, "Well, I don't have time," and I'm like, "But you're going to be made to have time if you don't take care of it.
You'll find the time.
It will find you. It will find you."
I tell people it's a win-win getting the tests. If I get my test and I find nothing, I feel really good because I know I'm healthy. And if I find something in my mind, I'm like, hey, I caught it. So I feel good about that. So it's a win-win to get these tests done.
Well, I think it's a mindset. You have to take that stigma out of cancer. I mean,
the fear.
still, the fear. Well, even now with me being 12 years out, I swear people still think they can catch cancer from me.
Yeah, that was a stigma I had to deal with in college once. That was not fun.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to that, but you can tell. You guys know those people that are like.
Well, it's one of the things we were talking about earlier with vaccines and stuff. You just gotta be educated. You gotta know what you're talking about.
Yes.
We're just like any other human beings that need help, and unfortunately, we just got buried this burden. Everyone does. Everyone has their own burden to bear, and we just got this one. We're not gonna harm you in any way.
We're gonna make it mean something. What we all had to go through has purpose and value because of what we do now.
Right.
If we just went out our lives and did nothing to help anybody else and just be thankful I'm alive and just going about my life, well, it didn't really have any purpose or value to it. Sucked that I had to go through that. But if I can help somebody else, now it's got purpose and value to it.
Right on. I agree. And that's what I had to find when I was actually being as a patient at CTCA. I had to find, there had to be somebody that wasn't feeling well or needed. And the nurses always led me into the direction of people that might need a little cheering up. So it kind of became a natural progression from what was going on. And, it helped me become more this talkative, chatty Kathy that you see today that just doesn't like to shut up most days. So, blessings come. What's that?
We're glad you are.
Me too. Thank you. I've been told I can eat too much, but it's in a good way.
Good.
In a very good way.
I think that's a very good spot to leave it off on. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time.
Goes too fast.
Definitely wanted to thank Christina for coming on and joining us.
Yes.
But wrapping up, we always want to say thank you to our team here at Not Done Yet, the 216 The Net crew for helping with production, and also decorating the office today. We have a little bit of Christmas cheer going around, which we all need during this time right now. Just wanted to thank everyone for all their work, and thank you once again for coming on, Christina.
Yes.
Again, so go support her organization, the Purple Iris Foundation. We included a link on our Facebook underneath the video and also underneath last week's video. So go support her. It's for a good cause. Christina, do you have any words you want to say before we wrap up?
No, just Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoyed chatting and just talking with people that understand what it's like to try to move forward through cancer and still struggle, but still you just move forward and press on and make good things happen. So thanks for you guys for what you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Christina.
And then I'll say just goodbye to everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
My name is Bob Gibbons. That's Robbie Robinson. And this has been
Not Done Yet.